is that time of the year where parents, guardians, persons are doing their back to school shopping. And we are here to tell you all you need to know about consumer rights, all you need to know about these items that you will be purchasing in terms of what is best for you, how do you get the best product that will last for a term or even a school year. I am Bibi Katun, the Communications Officer at the GNBS, and with me is Ms. Lucretia Hubbard, who is from the Department of Consumer Affairs at the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce. At the GNBS, we monitor 17 categories of products, and included in those 17 categories will include like footwear, garments, even cellular phones that persons are purchasing for their children to go back to school, because after the COVID-19 pandemic, many of the things that we do now can be done online or in person. But before we get to that, let Ms. Lucretia tell you all about what her department does.
Thank you, Bibi. As Bibi mentioned, my name is Lucretia Hubbard. I'm the Consumer Affairs Officer with responsibility for education attached to the Department of Consumer Affairs, Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce. We at the department, our role is to ensure that consumers are fully educated and empowered so that you're able to make better choices or clear and informed choices when you're participating in the marketplace. We do this by conducting a number of educational activities such as consumer outreaches to the various administrative regions, student lectures, radio and television programs, just to name a few. And our efforts are aimed, as I mentioned before, towards ensuring consumers are fully educated and empowered so that you're able to make the best choices while partaking in the marketplace.
Thank you, Ms. Hubbard.
Thank you.
As I mentioned earlier, one of the items that the GNBS monitor includes footwear. So, for example, many persons will be purchasing footwear for their student, or even if you're a teacher going back to school. It's important to ensure that these items are properly labeled. You will see that there is a brand name on the items, and that the size is important when you're purchasing shoe. And this goes for clothes as well. If you're purchasing your vest or your school shirts to go back to school, it's important to ensure that you're purchasing items that fit. So the GNBS monitors these items, and you may ask yourself, how do we do that? We monitor them whether it's locally manufactured or it's imported at the ports of entry or at the sales outlets. And there, our officers will be checking for the brand name, the country of origin, the name of the manufacturer or supplier. So if you have a problem, you will know who to go back to solve that problem, or to have redress, as Ms. Lucretia will explain to you in a bit. But these are the things that you must also look for. We encourage you consumers to ensure that you read the labels on the items that you're purchasing. Ensure that you understand what is it that you're going to look for so that you can get quality items when you're purchasing, and quality items will last longer. Of course, this is all that we're looking for in this time, value for money. And while the GNBS on this end is helping to monitor to ensure that you get quality, you on the other end will have to ensure that you read your labels and you get what you're looking for. Now I will invite Ms. Lucretia Hubbard to share with you some of your rights and some tips that you should employ when you're shopping.
Given it's that time of year when consumers are now actively involved in shopping for back-to-school supplies for their children, we at the Department of Consumer Affairs believe it's of key importance to provide you with the necessary information needed to make better choices, or the best of choices, while participating in the marketplace. As such, I'd like to leave with you some very important tips that we believe will help guide your decision-making while making your purchases. The first being, check with the schools first. Parents should check with the schools in which your child or children attends for the required list of school items needed for the school term. This will help guide your purchasing decisions and will help you to save money. The second being comparison shopping. In addition to having the required list of school supplies needed, parents should compose a comparison shopping list that will help guide your decisions as well. It will help you to budget properly and save monies. My final point on back-to-school shopping tips is for parents to know the return policies of stores in which they make purchases from. Ask for your receipt, as your receipt is your only proof of purchase. And ask what the return policy is on the commodities you may purchase. Over the pandemic, some businesses may have altered their return policies, while some may not have altered their return policies. However, we at the department urge parents to seek this information out from the businesses in which you make purchases from. Having this information will help to protect you in the long run. After sale services are very much important as well when you're making purchases. I have given you a mouthful of information there, and I'm sure my colleague here would have some more to add to what I would have just said. Baby?
Thank you, Ms. Hubbard. And in addition to some of the tips that Ms. Lucretia would have shared with you, there are some other things that I'd like to highlight. For example, ensure you inspect your products. I know sometimes we're in a hurry and we don't take the time to inspect the products before leaving the store, but this is something that you should do because, for example, when you're shopping shoes, and I like go back to footwear because I like shopping footwear, you would purchase a shoe and then you go home and find that something is not right with it, or maybe you have two different sizes of the same shoe. So it's important to inspect your products. When it comes to clothing, for example, that the GNBS also monitors, ensure that the stitching at the seams are properly sewn so that when you collect it, it's not going to start losing out after a time. It's the same when it comes to unraveling. Ensure that your clothing is not unraveling before you take it home. And there's something that I recently learned, that you should shop for shoes later in the day because at the end of the day your feet tend to swell, and this will give you a better fit to have a more comfortable shoe throughout the school year or the school term. Also, ensure that you shop for shoes that fit the larger foot. So sometimes you would go shopping, we all have one foot that's larger than the other, and ensure that you try on both sides. When you try on both sides of the shoe and you walk, then you will know that it's a comfortable fit for you to be able to wear that all day. Well, actually, I'd like Ms. Lucretia to tell you about some of the rights that you have as consumers. Even after you're finished shopping, you have certain rights that you need to know.
Indeed, you have rights as consumers. You have 8 basic rights to be exact. And I will now share those rights with you and give you a briefing of what each entails. The first being the right to choose. This refers to your right of choice. You can choose whether or not to purchase from A store or B store, whether to choose item X or item Y. The next being the right to safety. This refers to your right to consume goods and even services that are not hazardous to your health. The right to be heard. This refers to your right to air your satisfaction or your dissatisfaction after you would have consumed an item. There is the Competition and Consumer Affairs Commission, who falls under the Ministry of Tourism as well. And their role is to ensure that you as consumers are heard, to ensure that you're given the satisfaction that you need, as well as working with the GNBS in consumer protection to ensure that you receive quality goods as you make your day-to-day purchases. The right to be informed. This refers to your right for information. Now, Bibi and I would have provided you with some information today, but we also want to let you know that the right to information means that when you're purchasing an item, businesses ought to give you the necessary information that you need so that you're able to use those items in the correct manner. For example, if you're purchasing a blender or even a shoes or bag, as Bibi liked to mention shoes.
Yes.
Yes. Information that will be given to you for using those items would come in the form of an instruction manual or a label attached to the clothing. The next right being the right to redress. Now, this is a very important right as it refers to 3 terms that we so love and so know well as Guyanese, especially when we're having issues with the products that we consume. Those are repair, replace, and refund. Now, I know many Guyanese like to go for the refund part first and foremost. However, I want to inform you today that there is a law or a rule in which must be followed according to the Consumer Affairs Act, of course, which states that businesses are allowed to first repair your item, replace it, and then provide you with a refund. Now, the refund also comes with a catch. In having a refund, if you purchase your item, and let's say there's nothing wrong with it, but you just don't want the item anymore, you don't like the color, or something of that sort. You can return that item. I know many persons believe that they cannot return items. You can return an item, however, the business is entitled to take a 10% restocking fee. Note I said 10%. Some businesses may try to take a 15 or even a 12% out of you. You can tell them the Department of Consumer Affairs or even the Competition and Consumer Affairs Commission stated that according to the Consumer Affairs Act, you are only required to take a 10% restocking fee. Now, another important right, and this is important, yes, because it's something that we do on a day-to-day basis. It's something that we indulge in. The right to basic needs, which refers to food, clothing, and shelter. We cannot live or move forward in life without those basic needs. The right to consumer education. The information provided to you here today by myself and Bibi is referred as consumer education. The next being, and my last right, I'm sure I would have covered 7, so I'm moving on to the 8th right, being the right to a healthy environment. Now I know you're wondering, how does that right play a role here today with respect to shopping? If you as consumers are going to purchase an item and you walk into a store, would you like for the store to have some sort of foul smell, or would you like to have rodents running across your feet? That is what I mean when I say the right to a healthy environment while you're consuming or while you're making your purchases. If you'd like to know more about your rights as consumers and how those rights can benefit you while you're making purchases, please feel free to check us out on Facebook, that is Department of Consumer Affairs Guyana, and or contact us via telephone number 225-5858. Baby?
All right. Thank you very much, Lucretia. And of course, if you'd like to get on to the Guyana National Bureau of Standards, you can call us on 219-0064-66, or you can send us a WhatsApp message on 692-4627 or 692-GNBS. We have our Facebook page as well, where we will publish everything that you need to know as it relates to your rights, the items that we monitor, how you can make better choices as you go about shopping for the new school term, and anything else that you'd like to know, be sure to contact us. Thank you for staying tuned.